What's up, traders? Let's do a review of the trade that I took today on the 26th of August 2025. It's Tuesday, no major news out today, and we had a bank holiday in the UK yesterday. So going into the week, honestly, I am bullish. We took out this low previously, with a low wick candle, grabbing liquidity. Since then, we've had these quite weak bullish candles, however, and also last week we had this low wick candle that took out liquidity below previous week and pushed above. That again, that isn't very persuasive. So going into this week, I'm quite cautious. I'm neither bullish nor bearish at the moment until I see further indication that it's going to be bullish or bearish. However, we did have this range on pound, euro dollar, where we took out 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're coming down for a fifth test. Maybe we'll take out the low, maybe we won't. I don't know how that's going to play out, but it is ranging, and it looks like to me it's accumulating on the daily time frame. And then we'll get this accumulation. Maybe we'll get the break below that accumulation into this fair value gap and then find support. I'm not sure if it'll go up that high, but it will find some kind of a support around here. Most likely when we certain about anything. But seeing this Friday candle, this strong bullish engulfing candle, would have been suggestive that we're going to find some bullish momentum going into Monday, but we didn't. And because we took out this high, we're already so extended in the bullish market, we just need to be cautious on going bullish, especially when we see bullish momentum like this. And the fact that Monday opened, we had price take out this high firstly, and then price put in this little order block, failed to continue higher, and then continue lower. Normally, I would be watching that market and wanting to go long, and I would have potentially gone long in these areas where I marked, because I was at home yesterday, I was able to just look at what was happening and see whether I would have taken a trade or not. One area on this 15-minute right here, I would have probably gone long, would have been stopped out. Another one was just deep into this range below that 50% of, this fair value gap. Probably would have entered somewhere around here, but I know not to do that anymore. And then I just didn't enter until this morning. I took a trade, a bearish trade, in fact, even though we had such a high bullish candle looking left. To me, the way price displays lower, I was expecting price to come back down and take out this low. This is the bearish fair value gap that price left on the way down, right there, that bearish fair value gap, and then price came up to cut the high of this candle, and then it's that reaction of that fair value gap that allowed me to look for opportunities this morning. So yeah, we came up to cut this high, and then it's the way price came up, right again, this bullish candle, similar to what you see around here, where it's a massive bullish leg, but price just wants to continue lower. Again, similarly here, price pushes up, fails to continue higher, and then pulls back. Although we're still in this fair value gap, it pushes up, and then it's the way it comes down there on that 15-minute with this low wick candle. To me, that allows me to have an area where price can potentially come down to, and on the 5 minutes, that also is a market structure shift right there. And then I entered on the pullback, and then my target was between these two areas, so this low and this low. And as that price came into that low, I took out my targets. Followed my two entry principles. Enter on a pullback so that I get good risk reward. Entered above the 50%, good. Enter with less than 1% risk. Entered with 0.5% risk, good. But I need to be more consistent with my risk. So I only risk 5% on every trade I take, rather than 0.5%, rather than 1% here and then 0.5% there, and have a stop loss. Although I had stop loss idea here because I wanted to take out my trade if price moved there, and because I was quite busy, I didn't have the time to place my stops, and price started moving down. That was a mistake, and I shouldn't be doing that. I shouldn't place my stop immediately after taking that trade, because you never know, price is going to just boom, go up. And then what am I going to do? Panic and shit myself. So stops needs to be entered as I enter the trade, regardless of how busy I am. But yeah, this one was lucky because this moved down, but it could easily go up. So going into tomorrow, I don't really have much idea, to be honest. Let's see what happens. Right now it's ranging for me, and maybe we'll come down to this low. We're taking this high out. Maybe this is accumulating, and we'll come down, take out this low, find some support, and push up. Not sure yet. So let's see how this plays out.
We're on Thursday now, and this is how the market has reacted. We have taken this low once, twice, and 3 times yesterday, and it does look like price is now going to continue higher up. I was expecting price to maybe come down to these lows and find some kind of support, but at the moment it does look like we are going to continue higher, maybe back up to this high. I'm not sure. I've taken my 2 trades of the week, so I cannot take any more trades. I took a short on pound dollar yesterday, which turned out to be a loss. So that was 1 win and 1 loss for the week, which is I'm fine with. Ideally, well, to me, right, this order flow has been bullish, although because we have been putting these indecision candles in the last few weeks, I was expecting maybe some kind of a push lower this week into that level on the daily time frame, into this fair value gap. But seeing this bullish engulfing candle last week, right, we could have, or I should have kind of anticipated some kind of a bullish move, especially when price comes into such a nice support level on the daily time frame, a level that was taken out once, twice, is the fact that price put in this strong bullish engulfing candle and failed to continue higher and start to pull back, which is to me was kind of suggesting that, you know, bullish momentum is failing to pick up and maybe we'll see some bearish momentum. However, like I said, accumulation, euro dollar likes to range before dropping into a high time frame point of interest, and that's exactly what it did right here. Right, I took a short somewhere around here up to this, down to this low on Tuesday, I believe, and that was a win. However, price pushed up, took out this high again. That's accumulation right there, happening on the 4-hour time frame before dropping down, manipulating this low, and then continuing higher. Might have been a trade there, but because I had taken a short on pound dollar, and also my bias here was that it might continue lower down to this low, I wasn't really interested in taking a long. But that's just how trading is. I, wrong on the bias. However, I risked 1%. I had a stop loss and I entered on a pullback. So for me, I followed the 3 entry principles that I set myself, and that's a win for me right now. And the fact that I'm only allowed to take 2 trades, and I've taken 2 trades, and I'm not really interested in taking another trade because that's the rule I've set myself, and I want to follow through with that. So yeah, there were opportunities today. I was, after seeing all of this displacement, price closing above, I was watching maybe, like price dropping into these levels and finding support, which it does, especially better on the on pound dollar. So let's have a look at pound dollar, but I didn't enter the trade. So for me, that's another win. So this is where I took a short on pound dollar, and this is how Tuesday closed. We closed below this inverse fair value gap. Honestly, I'm just looking at too many point of interest. We opened on Monday, and then we had been pushing lower. Essentially, I mean, we're in a bullish order flow, right? And price likes to accumulate at the start of the week. Manipulate at the start of the week, and this is exactly what it's doing, manipulating down before going up. It's just the fact that order flow, my order flow was wrong. That's all it. Because we took out this high, we, formed a channel. We came down, we took out this high again in here, market structure shift, although we came down and took out liquidity off this low quite strongly and then displaced up, and then we came down again and took out liquidity again. So at the moment, to me, it was just ranging. I wasn't aiming for highs and lows. I was looking more on the lower time frames and seeing what price was doing. So yeah, this is what price had done, because we put in this strong, honestly, I don't know, we put in this strong bullish candle that took out these highs, and price just slowly start to, I don't think I like the way prices start to move lower. Normally when I see price move lower, it's quite a sharp move before it comes down. Not all of these zigzag moves where it takes out. There's a lot of accumulation going on before it comes down and then takes out this low. So I was looking to trade somewhere here. The best trade that I saw was on the 1 hour time frame, and that was this trade right here in the London session, which was looking at the drawn liquidity, which is this low, a perfect drawn liquidity, and then this pullback right here. But the only thing about this pullback was that it didn't come into the 618. I do think it hit the 50% mark, and I was watching for price to come into this fair value level and then enter at that 618 and enter my target here with stops above that high. That would have been a very good protective stop level, and I would have been comfortable entering that trade. But because price came down, took out this low, even after this candle before the price took out the low, was quite a good candle for me to think that we are going to continue lower, because on the 15-minute time frame, yeah, we had this market structure shift, and to me, I was again waiting for price to come into this open level so I could enter down there and put my stops there. However, we just put in one bullish candle and then we started to dump lower, and after that again we dropped down again one more time. However, yeah, I was quite late on the trade after that. And because we got this market structure shift afterwards, I now was anticipating price to continue down somewhere, down to this low, or at least back down to this low that it made during the New York session, during the London session. And I entered on a pullback at 618, which I was happy with, right? Had my stops above there, and then had my target somewhere around here. And then of course, price just moves up. And then after I seen that, I was quite certain we are going to continue higher up. But I've taken my 2 trades and there's no way I'm going to enter again. So this was the London session this morning. This would have been a good trade. Price came down to this low, and found some support on the 15-minute. It would have been a perfect trade, especially because we came down to take out that low, but we kind of accumulated around here and then dropped, and then again put a market structure shift. And here you go. This was me watching the trade, or watching myself reacting to the market and seeing what I'll do. And I placed a trade here because that would have been a pullback on this level right here at the open, and I was kind of certain that I might have entered, I probably would have entered the trade there. And what happens? Of course, it drops lower and then pushes up, and then it continues to move sideways. So yeah, even though I took a L yesterday, I stuck by the rule that I wasn't going to take another trade today, and I did. Maybe if I didn't have that rule, I would have entered at this New York Open, because it would have been a pullback of at least a 618 from this low to this high, but not from this low to this high. I would have been stopped out again. Another L. So I protected myself based on the rules that I've kept, based on the promises that I've kept to myself. So another win. Take that as another win. That's 2 wins in 2 days. Even though one was an L, and even though I couldn't take some of the trades here, you got to start focusing on the positives rather than just the negatives, because this is how I build my confidence in trading, by being honest with myself and having self-trust that when I tell myself that I'm not going to do certain things, or I'm going to do certain things, that I'm going to fucking do those things. So this is a huge win. Let's see what happens tomorrow, Friday, last day of the month, August. We start in September, big month ahead, because markets are going to be more volatile. Everyone's back from holiday, school starts, everything starts. It's going to be a bit chaotic, and I'm not sure what market's going to do. So yeah, and NFP next week as well. So yeah, let's go. This is how the week's closing at the moment, and to be honest, I am still bullish, but I'm not sure what price is going to do at the moment. It's been consolidating for a while. We closed the month, we put this bullish candle last month, and then we took our liquidity off that low of that previous month's candle. So I'm not sure whether we are going to continue higher up. I was watching this area previously that price could potentially come into, because it's quite a strong buy side liquidity just below that fair value gap on the monthly time frame. So that's an area that price could potentially come into. But again, we have this high first to get through as well, which it might. I'm not sure. It depends on how we start to move next week. It is NFP as well next week, so that's something to be careful. So let's look at the daily time frame, how it closed. We had, I've been bullish on euro dollar for a while. We took out this low, and this week when price failed to continue higher, and after taking out this high, price continued lower, I was kind of hesitant on which direction I wanted price to go to. But seeing this on a Wednesday, this low being taken out, was a good sign we might continue higher up. But by then I'd already taken my 2 trades of the week, so I wasn't really invested in the price action, which is quite interesting, because if I did have any trades remaining, I know that I would have been watching the market continuously throughout the day. But because I didn't really have any trades to take, I left the market as it is. However, I still would like to watch and see what's going on, which I did at times, but not as obsessed as I am normally when I have a trade remaining, or previously when I didn't have any rules on how many trades I could take, and I would be constantly checking the charts, which is probably not a healthy thing to do. And having a limit is really teaching me a lot about patience and being disciplined. So one thing though, like I said, I was bullish going into the week, and I should have been bullish continuously, because yeah, we took out this low, right? We also had this accumulation right here on the 4-hour time frame, because price put in this bullish candle, and then price slowly started to move lower, taking out this high. And after seeing this market structure shift, I was sure price was going to continue lower, but there's nowhere for fucking price to go to except for this daily time frame level right here on the daily time frame fair value gap, which is something I was expecting price to come into and then find support and push up. But it doesn't look like price is going to come down to that level anytime soon now. But yeah, that's what it is on the daily time frame. And yeah, 4-hour, this accumulation and price coming down to that low and then pushing up. Oh, that's such a good trade, such a good setup, especially when price moves up, leaving these fair value gaps along the way. It's most likely not going to come back into that low, and obviously by this point I wasn't trading. And this is what happens on Thursday. We come down, we don't take out this low, which is quite interesting, but we do on pound dollar, which had a much better trade on Thursday morning. And there was accumulation just before the low was taken out, and would have been a good trade, but obviously I couldn't take it, and nor was I watching the market because of the fact that I couldn't take a trade. But it's something I want to be watching, because that's where I learn. That's one of the main reasons I'm not taking more than 2 trades, is so I can not be fully emotionally invested in the price action, but also obviously learn from the price action. And I can't do that if I am not watching the trade or price action, and I'm not fully feeling that emotion of wanting to enter at a certain place and seeing price absolutely obliterate my stop loss, or what would have been my stop loss. Seeing those quite a few times already since I've set that rule has really made me so much more calmer. It's crazy. Another one is, I think I would have taken a trade here. Price came down to take out this low last night, and then we put in this, we started to push up, put in this inverse fair value gap. And I would have, honestly, I think if I was still in the mindset that we are trading, I would have seen this as a market structure shift. Price pushed up and, pulled back. That would have been a great trade, and I would have put my stops right there and targets there and would have been stopped out. But I wasn't. I need to learn the reasons why I want to enter that trade, and whether I want to enter it or not. And one of the reasons I wouldn't have entered that trade was mainly because we came into quite a range. We've been ranging at the moment. This is very interesting because we had this range on the daily time frame. Euro dollar likes to range, and until there's some kind of a breakout of a range, I shouldn't really be looking to take the trade, especially when price is quite deep in premium or discount. But the way it's moving up now, I do believe we've taken out enough lows. 1, 2, this is the third low that price created before jumping up. We had 1, 2, and the third high. You'd have expected price to continue lower, failed. Now that is pushing up. Now I actually do expect price to continue higher up. I'm just not sure where up to here or not, and I'm not going to enter on Monday unless there, again here 1, 2, and the third liquidity grab, market structure shift. I do think this will be a good trading opportunity on Monday, somewhere around here. However, I'm not a fan of tech trading on a Monday at the moment. I don't want to exhaust all of my trades on day one of the trading week, and also it's NFP next week, so I can't really be trading on a Thursday either, nor do I really want to be trading on a Friday unless price actually comes, drops during NFP into this fair value gap. Then I'm definitely going long. I don't know if it's going to go all the way up to the top, but this is an area I will definitely be looking to go long if NFP drops price into that zone, especially now that we're getting accumulation. It's either going to accumulate, manipulate up here and then drop during NFP, or accumulate, manipulate and then drop here somewhere. And one of those things are going to happen. Again, be a lot more confident if price can't drops to this low and pushes up. Price goes up to this high, then I'm a lot less confident that it's going to continue, drop lower, because it could easily just go higher. However, if this happens, if price does come up here before NFP, then I do think there will be an opportunity to go short, especially because this range accumulation, again, this high would have to be taken out, and then price would have to come up to this high and then take that high out with some kind of a channel. I think would be a perfect setup. But like I said, I'm not going to trade on Monday, even though I do think we can continue higher up. I'm just going to watch. There's no point me trading Monday. Pound dollar, pound dollar, pound dollar. I took a short right here, somewhere here yesterday, or on Wednesday, and took the L. And then price is currently honestly just ranging. I wouldn't have known what to do. It came into the open, put in a channel on the 1 hour time frame right there, right? If you look at this, it's a nice channel with RSI diverging as well on the RSI. This one right here, and then dropped lower. I was watching this. This is at the open. I probably wouldn't have traded it. Well, I didn't trade it, but I don't think I would have traded it. But I do think that was a good setup. This was the L I took. This was a winner that I took, and this was another trade that I saw yesterday that I probably would have taken if I didn't have the rule to not take more than 2 trades. Right here, we had this market structure shift above the open. This grey box is the open. Price pulled back. I had a 60% retracement between this low and this high, and then boom, price just takes over and drops lower. Would have been stopped out, and then we pushed up and took out the high. So yeah, no, I saved myself from a loss, and I'm happy about that. I wouldn't have taken this trade today. I wouldn't have, it doesn't really make sense to me to go long there, especially when price is just ranging, and honestly I have no idea what's going on. So yeah, good. I do expect price to, look, we've opened and closed below this week's open. We've been putting these indices and candles, and it's quite difficult to kind of figure out what direction market is looking to go to, especially because we put in this channel, came up, took out this high, or almost took out this low right here, displaced up quite strongly, took out this high. It looks like we tried to push lower, it's failing. Put in this bullish engulfing candle after taking out this low, put in this pullback, taken out the low, and now it does look like taking out another low, and it's looking to find its way up there. I think back up to this high, and then maybe back up to this high. We'll see how that plays out, but I don't think I would want to trade this high. This is not really significant zone, although it's also ranging, and it's something pound dollar and euro dollar do like to do, right? But it's something I would be very cautious to trade with any kind of high risk, especially if price starts to already displace before I find some kind of entry at the peak. So yeah, let's see how next week plays out. It's NFP. So be prepared.